It's Saturday, October 4th, 2025, and I'm tracking a few weather systems across the U.S., one in the Rockies that may cause some severe weather later today, and even some snow for some locations. And another weather system across the Gulf that may be producing some showers and storms for parts of the southeast. But first, we start with that storm system over the Rockies that'll be producing some showers and storms later today across parts of the plains. Some of those storms could be on the severe side with strong gusty winds and even some smaller to medium sized hail, possibly larger in a few isolated spots. And on the backside, we have the snow that forms as the low pressure system pushes eastward. We could see upwards of a foot of snow in some of the mountains. This would be the first significant snowfall of the season for parts of the Rockies in both Wyoming and Montana. And we do have that severe risk this afternoon, which does include areas from the plains over into the Rockies, including Colorado and Wyoming. Level 1 out of 5 risk for most of that area, but there's a small pocket of a level 2 out of 5 risk for parts of Wyoming, Colorado, and Nebraska, where we could see some strong gusty winds and even some hail. And as we take a look at the storm energy this afternoon, there's not a whole lot, but just enough energy potentially to produce some stronger storms over that area, level 1 out of 5 to 2 out of 5 risk. And then as we push into tomorrow's forecast, there will be a chance of maybe some stronger storms for parts of Kansas going into Nebraska as that cold front works its way south and east. It's a cold front that will be popping up the stronger storms as we track this system eastward over the next few days. And on the backside of this weather system, we do have the snow, which could be upwards of a foot for some of the mountains. And specifically for the Yellowstone area, probably the best chance of seeing some significant snowfall upwards of a foot to 2 in the higher elevations of northwestern Wyoming going into Montana. And ahead of the front is the heat, which will be near record highs for some locations, especially across the Midwest, where we could have a couple of days of this mid 80-degree weather before things start to cool down. But eventually, we will see that pattern shift and even more cold air as we move into the following week. Mid October looks to be a lot cooler, especially through the Midwest. So, taking a look at the temperature forecast, you can see over the next several days, we will eventually see the heat cool off or move south as the cold front makes its way south and eastward. Eventually, as we push into next week's forecast, we will see that cooler air start to really set up shop across parts of the Northeast and Midwest. So we do have a pattern change in the forecast, but it takes several days to take hold here. You can see as we push through the weekend and then into the following week, the cooler air finally starts to settle in. And then mid-month, we get a few more days of much cooler air behind a secondary front, which really locks in the colder air. So we will see a pattern change mid-month that does flip things from being warmer than average across the Midwest Northeast to cooler than average, and on the West Coast, we will start to see some warmer than average temperatures eventually work their way in. Now we take a look at the tropics, where there's not a whole lot going on. We have Tropical Storm Octave in parts of the Pacific and in Invest. That's where most of the activity is for now. But we are tracking some development in the tropical Atlantic, which includes a 50% chance of a storm forming over the next 5 days. And we also have a slow-moving low-pressure system over the Gulf that will be producing showers and storms for parts of the Gulf states and including Florida. As you can see, as we head through the next 48 hours here, tropical showers setting up across parts of the Gulf and Florida as we continue to see the slow-moving low-pressure system work its way through the area. Only a 10% risk of tropical development, but it will be producing those tropical rain showers as we head through the next couple of days. And with the tropical showers, there could be some substantial rainfall amounts here, upwards of 8 inches possible for parts of Louisiana going into Alabama and Mississippi right along the Gulf. And as we look at Florida, we could see upwards of 5 inches of rain in spots, so certainly some slow-moving tropical showers, but eventually things will clear out over the next several days. But as we take a look at the wind gust forecast here, from the American model, you can see there is a storm that forms over the next few days. At least in the model run, there's still some uncertainty, but it does track close to Puerto Rico before making a jog off to the north. We will see how this develops over the next several days and let you know what the latest forecast is if we see any development in the future. So looking ahead, we'll have a few things to track as we head over the next several days. That does include a pattern change on the way where we'll see warmer than average and cooler than average temperatures flip from the Midwest and the East Coast to the West Coast. This will also allow chances for showers and storms to form as cold fronts work their way through, in addition to the first snowfall for some as the cool air works its way in. We'll also be tracking the tropics with more storms to potentially form in both the Atlantic Basin and the Eastern Pacific. And I'll have updates on all of these things over the next several days.